So it's Sunday, August 20th, 2023, still in Alberta. This is Darci's Corner, and I was just watching a TikTok where this man had just taught himself how to read. He's in his, I don't know, his 20s, maybe his 30s, and he just read Charlotte's Web, and it has emotionally destroyed him. And it's absolutely adorable. He appears to be a cisgendered heterosexual man who seems um, he's very secure in his manhood. If he's going on TikTok making videos about how emotionally wrecked he is about having read this work of, I mean, it's a masterpiece, really, right? I remember Charlotte's Web from when I was in school. I don't really remember reading it. I mean, somebody did, and in one of our classes it was read. But I remember the movie a lot. Uh, but, there is something to be said about watching the movie of anything and watching the cartoons and then about reading the actual book that it came from, because there's insight in that book. Like, sure, well, I don't remember reading the book. Probably did, but I don't remember reading it. But I do remember, I know parts of it are quite sad, which is life on a farm. So sometimes life on a farm is sad for some of the animals on that farm. And people who live and work on farms know that. But that's not what has this man all torn up. It's not that farming is a harsh life. He's fallen in love with the character and the mom and with the cycles of life. And he's like, oh, this is just so beautiful. And it's a wonderful experience. But it's an experience he would have been cheated out of if he just read the book or just watched the movie. There's something beautiful about experiencing art like that and having it touch your heart. There's many different books and movies and things I've watched. When you see me pointing like that, there's a TV on the other side of this camera. Anyway, but there's many of these different experiences that I've had that were absolutely phenomenal. And now that I'm not hiding my emotions anymore, I still have these events now where something just grabs me and moves me and it makes me incredibly sad or incredibly happy. Um, and I would blame it all on the hormones, but that's not really true. Like this gentleman here, for as we know, he's just got his average original factory hormones, and yet he is still very emotionally vulnerable. And again, it's adorable. But the point that I'm making about this observation is that what an enriching experience he has had, because he went to the effort to read the book and to get absorbed in the material. And he would have robbed himself if he just watched the movie and thought he got all there was out of it. Um, a lot of the classics are classic for a reason. And even if I am just watching the movie or the Netflix version of it, I enjoy them most when you can tell they've put thought into the message they are conveying. And there are some excellent classics out there. Moby Dick's one of them. Um, Charles Dickens had a really interesting life, made some really interesting story choices, and yet his life ended in tragedy because he died broke and unloved, which is odd considering how famous his work has become now. But it's the life of an artist, I suppose. They're never appreciated while they're alive. Anyway, the point to those books and the point to those stories is that when you read them or when you get embodied in them, especially they did a retelling of the Moby Dick story from the actual, well, as far as they know, the factual accounts of what happened with the what led up to the story. There was a right whale that was attacking ships, and Captain Ahab was all made up by the author. But it's annoying when my memory does that to me. It's like, oh, I was just using that name, Charles Dickens, and then it slipped for a second. It's like, oh, now is it an ADHD thing? Am I getting Alzheimer's? Am I getting old? Who knows? It's possible. Anyway, but yeah, these enriching experiences that exist, I enjoy them so much, even as an adult. And it's no wonder that when I was a kid and I was reading these different novels, these different books that explain these things or describe these experiences, that they would grab me and they would transport me somewhere. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I lived a lot of my life just in a fantasy world, literally, because I'm reading different fictional worlds that never existed, and that's how I lived so often. There must be a reason for it, though. Like, collectively, humanity does it a lot. There's a reason we have movies and songs and rock stars and movie stars, and they wouldn't exist if our drive to be distracted and to feel these feelings on a deep level. I mean, it's throughout all humanity, right? Anyway, it's just fascinating. And it can, just because a story is written with a 12-year-old or a 8-year-old in mind, as Charlotte's Web was, doesn't mean it can't move a grown man or a grown woman. If it's well written, sadness is sadness, love is love. You know. Anyway, Darci's Corner, just a little more upbeat than usual, I suppose. I'm feeling quite good about myself. Anyway, peace.